All right. So, are you surviving the blue light surges? Do you feel like you're lost somewhere in the void? Um, did you experience the three surges, or are you just now waking up with a cup of coffee or just about ready to go to bed and suddenly you're like, what is all this blue light surge about? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be covering in this video today. So if you are new to my YouTube channel or the Blue Light Movement page on Facebook, my name is Nancy Rebecca. I am a registered nurse by academic standards and worked intensive care, and as a hospice nurse suddenly had an out-of-body experience about 30 years ago, just by having a lot of stress, like most of us. And I became suddenly sighted, and in that I really, as a nurse, really started studying the human energy field. It was about 5 years ago. Blue light beings came in and everything in my life changed. So I'm not going to go through that entire story, but the blue light beings, star people, blue light surges, all that's on the kind of world stage for most of us right now. So let's just do that deep dive and hop in there. So I'm going to be talking about quite a few things. And then, as always, I like to just add a little meditation at the end. So, hello, everyone. Hi, Carol and Kyra. Hi, Martha and Phyllis. Hi, Jill and Pat. So many people tuning in. Where are you tuning in from? I'm super excited because the blue light covers the whole world, covers every single country in the whole world. It saturates the waters and the lands. And so a lot of people all around. I've been really watching, reading your comments, and my mind is just blown. So before we get started with all that, I just want to take a moment to say I was really kind of just tapped into this blue light movement, the blue light surges, this awakening frequency that has been coming to the earth for maybe, I don't know, since 2019 officially. We've just had three huge surges, but I'm all about frequencies because everything, you're a frequency, you personally express probably thousands of bits of frequencies every day. Like, on one hand, you're excited about baking cookies, and on the other hand, you're sad about having a fight with your boyfriend. That's two different frequencies that you can express at the same time. Then, if you happen to be a mother or a grandmother or a sister, you're expressing all of those frequencies as well. So, in the whole world, we have so many frequencies that are being expressed. And when that blue light comes in, it raises all of those frequency expressions up a couple of notches. So, really, everything's changing for all of us. But this is what I really just want to touch on a little bit this morning that I'm noticing about our blue light community, if I can put it that way, our blue light population. And I would love to know how you express it, but for me, when I tuned into that human aspect, it's like like fierce love, if I could put it that way. Fierce love. It's kind of like that ride or die community. Like if I needed something, you all would, move in my direction. If you needed something, it's like this fierce love in our community would move in your direction. It's almost like I feel the most supported energetically as a community in a way that I've never experienced before. And I hope that each and every one of you out there is experiencing that as well. Now, I know that the star beings really talked about this shift of awakening, but they really talked a lot about the unity of community. And we can have concepts about what that might seem like, but I'm starting to feel it fiercely and lovingly. And I couldn't have felt that on my own. I can only experience that because each and every one of you out there are expressing that frequency with me. And it isn't just in my neighborhood, it is all over the world. This is being expressed. I talked about those years where I worked on my, processed about insecurity and trying to build self-esteem and confidence. And I mean, you would not know looking at me now that I'd be shaking in my boots just to have a camera in front of my face. So I've really worked through a lot of that. But feeling that fierce love surrounding me, and I hope that you can feel it surrounding you, suddenly it's like I just want to be a better person. I want to be a good person. And I feel like I'm just wrapped up in some amazing, amazing people, you all. So let's jump into the actual title of this subject. Are you surviving the blue light surges? Now, I have had a cold. I'm still on the end of the cold, but plus I've been doing a lot of talks. So yes, thank you, Stephanie. Hello from Germany. Hello, everyone. All right, I've got my little mermaid cup. The mermaid energy is quite strong. That's another frequency, and whales and dolphins, those are all frequencies. So where should I start? I think I'll start with the 3 blue light surges that we just had here in November. Okay. But the big thing I'm most interested in is a space between space. How many of you are feeling you're no longer where you were and you're not quite where you're going, but you're somewhere in between? So that's really kind of sparked my curiosity this week. So I'll talk a little bit about that today. All right. So, excuse me, my goodness. Someone asked, how do I get access to this blue light? Like I'm hearing everybody talking about it, but how can I bring the blue light into my life? So I first want to start off by saying you cannot block this blue light. So you can kind of block it, but not kind of block it. So I'll express what I mean there. So the blue light, it is a frequency. It is a plasma, like this photonic plasma of blue light. And it's the way that I've seen it since 2017, it's a very dark, like a lapis blue or cobalt blue. However, I'm wearing this little lighter blue today because if that darker blue is too intense for you, the beauty about this blue light, it can shift and adjust and become lighter at times for you to be a little gentler. And then it'll go really dark like lapis, and then it'll go light and sparkly. So this blue light, it's like a recipe. It's like a spice in your spice cabinet. It adds a certain flavor to the recipe of who you are. So in 2017, when the blue star beings arrived in my room, I was very, very clinically, scientifically minded, focused on the study of the human energy field. If I looked at your liver, I was really excited, or your gallbladder, or your spleen, or looking at the chambers of your heart and your vessels, or looking at your brain and the nerves coming off the base of the skull and the synapses. Like, that's where I really got excited. So when the blue light beings came in 2017, I'm like, all right, how do they fit in our human existence? I think that's what we're learning right now. We're not quite there, but we are learning. And you and every one of you listening in will be watching the recording or maybe haven't even won't even participate in what we're doing. Everybody's going to be trying to figure out how to integrate this new frame of consciousness and knowledge, new ways of looking at things. We're all going to be trying to figure out how to get this to fit into our human existence in the ways that we have known it. All right. And it does connect. So I'm excited to say it does connect with the human body, because I'm always looking at what affects the human body. So I'm going to jump off on a little tangent here, just a little one. So I've always looked at, all right, how does depression impact your human energy field? How does anxiety impact your human energy field? How does it impact your human energy field when your husband or your wife picks a fight with you? Or how does it impact you as a child when maybe your parents were far too loving and let you get away with too much, or far too controlling? So I've always looked at those aspects, but the blue light is another aspect, isn't it? It's another aspect of a frequency that's influencing our human energy field. It's just coming from outside of our universe, our atmosphere, somewhere in the galactic, as what they tell me from the dog star, which is Sirius. So it still impacts us. All right, that's my little human energy field bit. Now, people have asked, so it was in November 19th. If some of you are really excited about dates, November 19th, 2019 was the first surge that came to the pyramids in Xi'an, China. The second surge was November 19th, 2021, which came through the pyramids in Mexico. And then this last surge of November was the surge through the pyramids in the southwest of the United States, which they showed as the 3 mesas on Hopi land. So I do believe those first 2 surges were really getting us ready for this one. All right, so let's talk about what just happened in November. So I began to see several months before the very first surge on November 4th to come to the first mesa. It was a real softening, and it was as if I could see the radiance of blue coming off the earth, going into the earth, not totally deeply into the earth, but it was this kind of beautiful, soft blue. When it came through the very first mesa, it was almost as if that mesa was like it had been bottled up for a long time, and it just kept pushing and pushing. Have you ever tried to open a wine bottle and the cork is just breaking up and you cannot pull it out? So you finally just get something like a pencil or a chopstick and you have to push it. You want to push it down into the bottle. That's what it was like. It was like this blue surge was pushing that cork out of that first mesa into the earth. Now, what happened was it was just like a boom, like a blue light, just like it just hit the center of the earth, and then it expanded. So let's say you know nothing about the blue light. You might have felt an exhilarating, what I call kind of mountain fresh air, or you may have felt a little shaken up. I live in Washington State. We have a lot of those undercurrent tremors of earthquakes that you never can feel, but it's picked up on the seismograph. All right. You might have felt that, and then you just go on about your business. But what was happening inside the earth was this kind of surge, and then surge, and it would go just kind of rest, like contract and surge again. So some of you might have felt that. But this is what happened at the very first one. What looked to me like like the earth, Mother Earth was holding on to some old pain. Do you know what it's like for you to hold on to old pain, and that you just think you're never going to get out of that pain and that you're just holding it and stuck with it forever. Well, I think Mother Earth's been feeling that as well. And there's a lot of what happens when let's say there's a car accident, and a car accident happens on a certain corner, stop signs. Car accident happens there. Let's say it was tragic. Let's say it was a fatal car accident. The cars are cleared, or the person's taken to the hospital, or the tree that was hit has to be taken down. But energetically, it makes a big hole in the energetic fabric at that place where the car accident happened. And that energetic space, unless someone comes along and heals that particular spot on that particular corner, and if there's a fatality, that rip goes very deeply. Another accident can happen there, and another, and another, and another. It's like it draws more pain to it. So on the earth, you could just on your piece of paper start listing all the ways that we've been hurt and harmed, whether individually or globally, whether we've hurt or harmed other communities and cultures, or war. That makes a big hole in the energetic field. It makes a big hole in the energetic grid. And then that area cannot function and flow in the light very well. All right. So now let's get back to that global Mother Earth who's holding all this pain and just wants to be able to finally once and for all let go of it, just like you all. So what happens is that surge came through, expand, contract, almost like a labor pain. I think I just made that connection. And then whoosh, it was just like that. It just collapsed. And I talked about this. It was like 8 minutes. It was this bulging, and then 8 minutes and it was gone. So for many of you, you would or would not have noticed, like, whoa, like you just have to steady yourself. What just happened? And that's what happened. Suddenly, a lot of pain was let go. So are you surviving the blue light surges? Well, let's just talk about that first surge that the blue star people said we need a couple of weeks to let our bodies adjust to that. All right, so let's say you've been holding on to, not consciously, mind you, who wants to hold on to pain? None of us do, but we have it. We're human. And let's say in less than 8 minutes, just boom, it just completely dropped out of your aura, your body, your chakras, your energy field. Or maybe half of it dropped out, but maybe your friend, all of it dropped out, or maybe your husband or wife, like a quarter of it dropped out. So we all released a little bit. To some of you had a major metaphoric, what do I want to call it? Metamorphosis shift in consciousness. All right. Now you have this void inside your body. Now, what are you going to fill that back up with? Well, ideally, you're going to fill it back up with the light of your own soul. So that's what was happening. So that's lights coming in. But what do you do with all that light? Like, what if you were cranky and crabby one day and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I love my neighbors. I'm talking about that fierce love, this multi-dimensional love that's coming to the surface. So let's say, are you surviving the blue light surges? Well, yeah, but what if, that's a major change in personality and the way that you express yourself. So yeah, you can say you're surviving, but you're going to be surviving in a different way. So in that, there were still surges in that 2-week period of time, but it was lighter, it was gentler, it was moving in different places in the world. The blue light, like a soft rain, that's the way that it was coming down. So when people ask, how do I get access to this? You cannot not get access to this. It's like a gentle rain, but it can come through houses, it can come through a 52-story high rise, and it can soak all the way through the high rise, through all the buildings. It's this photonic blue light. So it can go through cars and buses. So you could be in an underground bunker. It's going to come down through the earth. So everyone can feel the blue light, even if you don't know that you're feeling it. So, all right. What happened in that blue light one, that one was harsh. That was like pain, like achiness, like why does my body hurt so much? Whoa, the headaches. The headaches were pretty intense for a lot of people. Feeling achy, like you had the flu, but it never actually turned into anything. Some people lost their appetite, and some of you right now are like, wow, I feel like I could just eat and eat and eat, and I never hit the bottom. I mean, there's loads of things that happened, and for every one of you, it's going to be different, or it might be the same. So, let me just talk about the second surge. So what was happening is you were just collapsing a lot of old belief systems, a lot of old patterns of behavior, a lot of old pain. So the second one that came, and the first one had to do with earth. So I really felt almost like there was this underground, under the earth, and the underworld element that was coming up. So for some of you, you may be experiencing elements of the underworld. So you may be having visions or dreams about unicorns or fairies or little people or what do I call the land keepers, the deities of the land. Or maybe you're not visually experiencing them or intuitively experiencing them, but you may feel their presence around more strongly. I was in Ireland in October, and often the beings in the underworld expressed how excited they were to start to feel safe enough to come to the surface again. And I said to them, does it bother you that we're calling to you, or we're walking on your sacred land? And they said, not at all, that we were driven under the earth, and now we feel like, there's good people in the world again, so we can start to come to the surface. So you might be experiencing those kind of otherworldly things, but in your physical body, it can be a bit rough. All right, I get that. All right. Yes, Jill, thank you for reminding me. And dragons. There were a lot of dragons, and it was almost like these dragons were kind of caught or caged at the center of the earth. So when that old pain collapsed, it was just like these dragons, just their wings took off and they just started flying out all over the world, like they were released, the mystical, magical aspects of dragon energy. So I have to tell you, I don't normally talk like this in public, but I am like for as far out of the closet now as I could ever be. So I might as well just keep going, right? Okay. I can hear some of you saying, how can you see that? Well, I can see in the spirit world at the same time I see in the physical world. So maybe I'll talk more about that later. All right, the second surge, that was water. And they called it no water. That's how I would say it. And how the blue star people talked to me in the beginning, I could only hear, like in 2017, they sounded like whale sounds or dolphin sounds, but I would know what they were saying. So there would be these different frequency waves coming through, but I knew what they were saying. Now, because the frequency on the earth is so much higher and they can actually come down into our atmosphere and stay in the 3D realm for longer periods of time, now I can hear them more in English and more words. So they call it, this is going to be a blue light surge of water, but no, it's not water. So they talk about plasma light. So thank you for whoever wrote me to say that I think it's Taoism, they do talk about in the 3D realm, it feels wet to the skin, but in the higher realms, water does not feel like water. So somebody said that's actually a thing. Okay. The visions that people were having, so around November 18th was the second surge. That's when I'm going to call it the psychic chakra, the sixth chakra, really went through an awakening. It was just like boom. Now, for many of you, that's where you maybe had some of your fiercest headaches, because your mind was trying to hang on to this old world thinking. It's like you can't bring all this light into here. My whole way I look at the world's going to change. How am I going to cope? Are you surviving the blue light surges? The way that you've coped in the past is changing. You are going to be able to cope in better ways than you've ever been able to cope with life. Because with this blue light surge, there's so much hope. There's so much hope. There's so much new knowledge coming in that helps you to start solving some of your problems and your issues in ways you couldn't think of before, because you just didn't have access to that higher level knowledge, and now you do. So suddenly you may find yourself like, wow, that problem solved, that's problem solved, or your kids come to you and you're like, problem solved, or your husband or wife, problem solved, or your boss, problem solved. It's like, that's that knowledge. And that's what the Blue Star people said. We're coming into a higher level of integrating high levels of knowledge. So the visuals were quite strong on this water, no water phase. This was also in the underworld or underwater. I did witness a hole in the bottom of what I would call the ocean, but I don't know that I could call it the ocean. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And then I saw this black hole. And then when I peered through using my clairvoyance, the black hole, outer space was on the other side. So I just thought, well, how's that possible? So I thought, all right, it's a portal, but we're getting to outer space this way and not this way. So I'm used to having visions. I'm used to seeing the world. If you ask me to choose between 10 different blues of paint to put on the wall, I probably won't see the difference of those 10 different blues unless it's dramatic. But when I close my eyes, the color visuals are off the charts. So this is the thing that blew my mind, that I got super excited about, was many of you had similar experiences. You were feeling this water, no water. You were feeling as if you were kind of released into this portal that went into the stars, and you went far out into the galaxies. So I'm reading your comments and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do with all this. So even though at the human level, I may have felt a little like my marbles were rattled a little bit, shaking around up there, I was really hella excited, because I thought, if this is where we're going, this has the potential to be a heck of a lot of fun. All right. So on that level, that was very emotional. It was really clearing out inflammation in the body. A lot of people, again, still headaches, feeling a little nauseated. The body was super inflamed, Mother Earth was super inflamed. And so this blue frequency, water, no water, was helping to shed layers. It was as if gelatin or gelatinous energy was just peeling away. And it is still peeling away at the moment of this call, and will be peeling away for several years. But wow, we went through a big shift in just about 5 days of a lot of inflammation. So let me just talk. Okay, I'm going to put on my nurse hat. When you eat foods that inflame your body, you get cranky. So as a nurse, when your brain gets inflamed from maybe eating sugar or eating a lot of carbs, your gut gets inflamed, your body gets inflamed, and you don't feel good. Doesn't stop us from shoving another piece of chocolate in our mouth, speaking from experience, but you don't feel good. You're cranky, you're crabby, you're judgmental, you're critical. This is what you were going through, this huge detox of inflammation, so you could start to access the beauty of being in a human body, the beauty of feeling emotions and sexual energy and creative energy and just feeling alive and joy-filled. So a lot of people were feeling happier. And that's the thing. When you are no longer inflamed, you feel happy and you feel energized. So our whole world was going through inflammation detox. Beautiful colors, expanded intuition, love one another. And this is where many of you wrote and said, wow, I'm noticing a lot of kindness in the world. How does that happen? Where we go from total viciousness and 2016, 2017 until now, to suddenly people are being kinder to each other. Love it. Now, the blue light surge number 3 had to do with the galactic. So it had to do with the galactic core. It had to do with the Great Attractor. It had to do with your capacity to feel stars and planets. So I ran across this article I was reading about the Bushmen. I used to live in South Africa, and in the Kalahari area is where the Bushmen live. And there was this man that had gone there, an anthropologist, and through an interpreter, they were having a conversation about how the Bushmen, who are very intimately connected to Mother Earth and the stars, they could not believe the anthropologist couldn't hear nature, couldn't hear the stars and the planets, and they thought the anthropologist was joking. They thought that the anthropologist was trying to be funny. And when they realized he could not hear stars and planets, he was shocked. So I tell that story because that's what's happening. So for many of you tuning in today, and will be tuning in for the next few years into the world, don't be surprised if you can hear like our solar system and the planets moving around Earth, or hearing the different phases of the moon. Can you imagine such a thing? That wasn't even a concept I would have thought of even 6 months ago, but now it's totally plausible. So I was getting my nails done the other day, and I was talking to the gal that was doing my nails, and I said, can you tell when someone walks in? Because I was kind of curious if she felt any difference in the last month. Can you tell when someone's coming in what kind of mood they're in? And she said, well, not really, but I can hear it. Isn't that wild? So, excuse me, she is from Vietnam. And she said that's how all her family, they do it through hearing. So they are Asian. And I was super curious. I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, when someone comes in, they have a certain sound to them. And they can tell with that sound if how that person's day is going, how their life is going. That's possible. There are humans in the world that can tell what kind of day you're having by how your auric sound is sending radio frequencies out into the world. So if you just might be one of those people that hear sound, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. I can hear illness in the body. I can smell illness in the body. I can see illness in the body. And I can have a knowing sense about it. But that level of hearing goes beyond what I had ever realized before. I just thought only metaphysical people played with that kind of craziness, and it isn't. It's just regular, normal people. So in this third surge, that's where we really started noticing time warpish kind of things, time and space warpish sort of things. So in the Great Attractor, it's this potent gravity. So, we have gravity in the earth, but now can you imagine 1,000 times stronger than what we're feeling? Well, we would just be sucked down into the earth. So, and I bet some of you, when you've meditated, you feel pulled like heavy in your body. Maybe you experienced it in the surge, but the Great Attractor has this capacity to, I called it pixelation, or in the December frequency forecast, I said kind of like a Picasso painting where one eye's here and the ear's there, and our shoulders are this way, and I don't know it, but it just feels disjointed. That would be the Great Attractor, because when a larvae turns into a butterfly, it liquefies in between and then it reforms into a butterfly. I'm sure I could study my whole life about how that works. But that's kind of what's happening. And so at the human level, so I asked my spirit last night, can you explain to me? And they said, well, do you remember Star Trek? So hopefully all of you who are listening know what Star Trek is. But remember, when they'd get in that tube, they'd stand on that disc, and then they'd pixelate, or they'd kind of turn into photonic light, and then they would separate and they would become pure light, like little atoms, and I don't know how it works, photonic light, and then all of a sudden you would reappear on another planet, and then all your little bits would come back together again. Yep. That's what they say is kind of happening to you right now. So as that's happening, you're coming back together. I'm going to call it into that goodness, that good, kind aspects of you. And whatever those heavier molecules were just kind of dropped out. So it's another level of letting go, of releasing. So that's the the Great Attractor. That Great Attractor is going to be influencing us for quite a long time. And I'm hearing like big influence the next 30 years. So can you imagine just like expanding and then coming back together and reforming and expressing that part of you, and then going through that expansion process? So I don't know what it's going to feel like, but I most certainly will be paying attention to what you are all expressing it feels like. But then let's go into the Galactic Center, which is the place of nothing that's filled with everything. That's how the Blue Star people explain it to me. It is the place of nothing that expresses everything. And that's knowledge. And they said we're becoming pure knowledge. So how are you surviving the blue light surges? By knowing that you might lose gaps of time. So you just know that. How are you going to survive the blue light surges? By knowing that sometimes you're going to make leaps in time, where it was 10 o'clock in the morning and now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe it's 10 o'clock in the morning and then you've done the laundry, folded the clothes, washed the sheets, run the errands to the grocery store and the post office, and you come back and it's still 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the Galactic Center. One woman wrote and said, "You don't understand. I flunked mathematics. I never could learn my times tables. I was horrible at math. I don't know how I got through high school and I got through college because I just could not do times tables. I couldn't do algebra. I couldn't do anything." And I loved it. She goes, and I think she's like 69 years old. So if I'm talking to you, I loved your story. And she said, "I'm walking around my house doing times tables in my head as if it's the most reasonable thing possible for me to do." So how are you going to survive the blue light frequency, light surges? By knowing that you have a lot of doors opening up in your capacity for knowledge, and what you may have never been able to do in your whole life, you're going to be able to do now. So now, where are we now? Because we're wrapping up the hour and we could sit and talk about what's happening for months. And we're talking about it on the Blue Light Movement page on Facebook. We're talking about it on YouTube. We're talking about it to our friends and things like that. There is this mass blue light movement across the world that is unstoppable, of fierce love. So let me just talk about this space. I've been trying to figure out what this space is for the whole month of November. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy because I usually check in with my intuition and I can get answers, or I usually can ask to see an overlay of the energetic field and see what's happening. All that was gone. It was just gone. And then it dawned on me Thursday. And so I call it the void. So I call it the void, and I describe it as, you've got this trapeze bar and you've got a hold of the trapeze bar and you've leapt off this platform and you're pumping your whole body back and forth to swing that bar. You've got somebody on the platform on the other side that is swinging that trapeze bar to you, and you're trying to synchronize where you've been with where you're going. You're trying to synchronize this. So you're watching ahead and you're watching behind before you're going to let go of that bar, and then you're going to reach for the new bar. But there's this place where you've let go of one bar, trapeze bar, but you haven't quite caught the next bar yet. That's where we are. I was like, I got it. So I was calling this the place between the between. I don't know what I was calling it. The spaces between spaces is what I was calling it. Did you know, I looked up Dr. Google, and did you know that there's an actual thing called the space between spaces? Again, mind blown. So we are in the space between spaces right now. So, and did you know, oh my God, there's a study about this, and it's called Euclidean, Euclidean, Euclidian, Euclidean geometry. Do you know people actually get an academic degree in Euclidean geometry where they're learning how to measure spaces between spaces that they call the void? I love it. I'm looking at Kelly. I'm just going to take a little commercial break here. I'm looking at Kelly Scarborough, the mystic next door, stating big solar flares are going on right now too. So many glitches in computers, and wow, lots of glitches that I've been experiencing this week. So I said yesterday on my walk, I wonder if there's a lot of solar flares going on right now. That's not I really can't add another level of knowledge to my plate, but I'm so glad that some of you do. So please keep sharing that. So the space between space is where you have two universes that are near each other. So we call it multi-dimension. So we talk about the third dimension, that's this world, this earth. The fourth dimension is that area, kind of the bridge between the third and the fifth, and then the fifth dimension. So, but in between those, there's this layer of void. And to me, it felt gray, it felt empty, it felt absent, a sense of absence. And they told me for the December frequency forecast, we're going to feel that level of absence. And they described that the way to get over that level of absence is to socialize. And they said, if you don't know anybody to socialize, just go to the store, the coffee shop, walk down the street, talk to people. But that's going to help get us to that next trapeze bar faster than sitting on the couch and pondering life. So they said, go to the post office, get out. And they said that the universe is going to help you find new people, your new tribe, pull, like maybe you're going to meet your new best friend, they keep saying. So a lot of people are going to be pulled into your orbit that align with this blue light frequency that you're so tapped into. So did the blue light surges stop? No. There's maybe little types of surges through the mesas, but mostly we still are experiencing blue light coming to the earth. It is not going away. We are not being abandoned by it. It still is a grand awakening of consciousness, and it still will continue to come through in waves. So we are going to survive the blue light surges. You are going to survive the blue light surges. And you just want to continue to support your body through it. Yesterday was a big nature lesson for me, a big nature lesson. The wind was blowing, and they said, look how much the wind is clearing your aura and exhilarating your body. It was like, the rain is coming down. And I heard this voice say, when was the last time you danced in the rain? And then it was like, when was the last time you walked in the cold, rain, windy storm, and you took off your shoes and you let the mud squish between your toes? I mean, it was like nature, the sacred, loving Mother Nature is your number one best bet to help you get through this. Go swim in the lake, swim in the ocean, sit near a creek and put your feet in that water. So they're just saying nature is really going to help a lot. Creativity is really going to help a lot. Yvonne said to me yesterday, I know how you can get there is bake pies, because she knows that can really turn things around for me. I've got my hands in the dough. I'm only focused on this one thing. Don't overdo the dough, because I'm going to make gluten, which will make hard crust. But you have to do the dough enough so it sticks together. And then what kind of filling am I going to put in? How do I, do that first blind bake in the oven? Like I'm totally in that baking a pie zone. Creativity is just coursing through my veins. I feel better. So you want to do some different creative things. But what if you are like, I don't feel the blue light, I'm not intuitive, I'm not creative. Everybody's creative. Get a coloring book. I tell people who say they're not creative, you go to the store right now and you get a kid's coloring book and a little box of crayons, and you just start coloring. That's going to help that surge happen. Don't let your mind try to make you think what an artist is and what an artist is not. All right, that's my soapbox on that one. But nature, so we're going to have a little bit of a nature meditation before we wrap up. So before I take you into that really deep, beautiful elixir of Mother Nature and a little meditation, I want to remind you all that coming up at the end of this month is my annual winter solstice event. So what that means is whether there's 10 of you at that event or 100 of you at that event or 1,000 of you at that event, 100,000 or a million, there is a group consciousness that I tune into, and I'm going to read you all as if you are one individual person. And it's going to play with your head, but the only way you're going to know what that's going to feel like is by purchasing a ticket. It's only $35, or just the recording's $25. So we'll make sure and put the link here so you can click on it. It will be a virtual Zoom call, and it'll be on the 17th of December. All right. Now, let's, oh, thanks, Warrior Girl. For putting that there. If you could put specifically the blue light link, that would be really, really great. All right, how about a little nature meditation? We're going to pretend and imagine. You're going to pretend and imagine that you can pretend and imagine and fantasize in ways you've never done in your whole life. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. And can you kind of feel that fierce love? It might be a light frequency, but see if you can really go deep and feel the wave of our group's connection as that fierce love. I call it ride or die love. I've got your back love. See if you can, your body can feel that frequency right now. There you go. Drink it in. Just let that fierce, I've got your back love just fill up your whole body, your whole aura. Say hello to your spirit, your higher wise self. There's only a small portion of your spirit that is able, in its high frequency, is able to come down into the 3D frequency world. So your higher wise self resides in this beautiful space above your head. Ask your spirit to help you to turn up the volume on your sensitivity to feeling in this meditation and hearing, seeing, and knowing. So we're going to experience nature so that you know that even sitting in the chair where you are, or the couch, or laying down, that you can bring in this healing frequency of nature, no matter where you are, if you're sitting in the car. So the visual that's coming up for me, but you can create your own visual. So here, not far, or on the West Coast, is Mount Shasta, which is a very sacred mountain. And at the base, in the kind of valley of Mount Shasta, are the Redwoods. Most people have never witnessed the redwood trees, but they are enormous trees. There's ferns all around. There's all kinds of undergrowth, soft pine needles under the canopy of the redwood trees. So right now, imagine that you are walking in this deep, rich forest of these majestic tree people. And then as you're walking, you can feel the softness under your feet. Now you can either walk through the trees and you can place your hand across and feel the bark of the tree. And as the bark of the tree runs across the palm of your hand, it activates all these little nerve endings in your hands and sends this exhilarating energy of these majestic tree people through your entire body. You are making that energetic connection. You are standing in the auric field of these huge, enormous trees. So just take some time to walk through, feeling the connection below your feet come up through your body, the sensory of the smell, of the vision. Maybe you're just going to close your eyes and let yourself feel all of nature. As you're walking along, allowing your auric field to absorb the nature frequency. Let it flow through your back as well. Let yourself feel in your back. Let yourself feel in your spine. Let the backs of your chakras absorb this nature. Rest in the arms of nature. Imagine nature just wrapping itself around you and holding you and fiercely loving you and going really deep and saying, telling you to deeply rest in the arms of nature. I'm sensing some extra tight spots around the head, not unusual. Let your head space drink in a fierce love, calming love, embracing love of nature into your head space. Let it calm your mind. Ah, all right, that's much, much better. So thank Mount Shasta for its beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous frequency. Thank the redwood giants, the tree people. Thank the pine needles on the ground and the soil and all the ferns. Thank all of nature. Take that feeling of nature with you as you come back into the space where you are. Open your eyes, look around, let yourself smile to activate that more uplifting frequency on your face. And just know you can revisit this place energetically, meditatively, in nature 10 times a day if you want, for just a few minutes. But you might want to make time as well to literally go out in nature and enjoy it there too. So you're definitely going to want to be in the wind and dance in the rain and put your toes in the mud. And I forgot the fire. You might want to sit by a nice fire. So, okay. So I just want to mention somebody who is it, Kelly Ridley is saying she is literally driving past Mount Shasta and the Redwoods as we speak. She's been looking at Mount Shasta for the last 20 minutes while she listened in. We did have somebody else I just wanted to address this quickly who asked about can it cause this blue light cause an increase in fear and anxiety and panic attacks? So I just want to be clear: the blue light doesn't cause it, but what's happening is as you're letting go of the old energies and memories and life experiences that you feel in the body. Yes, the body is kind of afraid right now because your frequency is going up and it doesn't know what's happening. And so those aspects that you haven't let go of yet, yes, they can still trigger anxiety and panic attacks and all of that not so good feeling. But just keep working with it. Keep dropping anxiety right down into Mother Earth so Mother Earth can recycle it and get out in nature. All right, we are well into the 1 hour mark. I never thought we'd even make it this far. So thank you very much for hopping on this Saturday morning. I will go through your comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can, but I did just want to do a little wrap up of events after our enormous blue light surge in November. We're not done yet. The blue energy is still here. I'm already getting a little signal of some information that will be coming through, looks like around March or April. And but right now they're telling me don't tap into that energy, Nancy. Don't tap in as much as you're curious. Don't do it. Rest. Deeply rest. So that's what I'm going to do, and I hope that you all do as well for the month of December. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.